Galaxy-wide Guten Tags. I'm M. Tie-Dye or Die-Trying Cypher, and this month I thought I'd take a look at a, well, transformative time in Transformers toy history. At the turn of the century, Transformers went from the solid sales of beasts to skyrocketing sales of real-world vehicle forms, backed by fancy-dancy new anime, as the kids were all on about. And retailers wanted more and more Transformers product, a demand not seen since the early 80s. They weren't able to just beef up Armada and Energon with redecos of older toys, thanks to those lines' very distinct like play patterns limiting all severe like their mold options. So Hasbro chose the path that also let them get more shelf space in the stores, a whole new product line. Thus Universe, a grab bag of molds from across the prior decade in some funky new decos. The story of the line was co-developed with original BotCon showrunners 3H Productions, told through pack-in CD-ROMs and a short-lived comic series. The first official acknowledgement of the Transformers multiverse, it featured the minions of Unicron, aka Decepticons, and children of Primus, aka Autobots, villains and heroes plucked from countless different universes to battle it out for the fate of all universes, thus explaining away the toy line's complete lack of thematic cohesion. At normal retail, there were only two price points, carded deluxes and boxed ultras, which meant there were a lot of multi-packs, as a lot of available toys were too small to fit in those price points by themselves. For example, this redeco of Beast Machine's Mega Class Tankor came with a redeco of the basic-sized Obsidian to fill out a $20 Ultra box set. And I really just want to gush about this toy. If you don't own this mold, seriously, hunt one down. The transformation is silky smooth. The movable light-piped scanning eyes in both modes just ooze menace. The spinny buzzsaws on gear wheels that spin as you move the tank forward. The massive spring-loaded cannon. This is just a damn fun toy, the likes of which we simply do not get anymore. Even in the kid-aimed lines, they don't stuff them with gimmicks like this, though Cyberworld is actually looking promising on the bigger scale stuff on that front. I will happily call this one of the most fun Transformers toys they've ever done. The line also had a lot of new characters like Frostbite, an ice-themed redeco of the Transmetal 2 Jawbreaker toy from 6 years prior. Unfortunately, the Universe website had stopped updating with character bios well before this toy came out, leaving a lot of completed character bios unpublished. So in this case, they'd also stopped working with 3H at all by this point. All their contracts were cancelled. So it's possible Frostbite never had a bio to publish in the first place. It took over a decade for Frostbite to get any fiction whatsoever, a minor role in an online Collectors Club prose story. He did recently get a mention in the Renegade Games Transformers role-playing game as well, which is nice to see. But for a long time, he and a lot of other bots introduced in Universe had no official characterization. Many still don't, and possibly never will. Pity. Hasbro dug deep for molds to use, and boy did they dig deep with the likes of King Atlas, who uses the Skyquake mold from 1992. Mind you, the reason this mold was available was because Hasbro had used it as Machine Wars Starscream in 1996. But still, they were prepared to go back quite a bit, and I'm glad they did, because as anachronistic as this toy was even in 2004, good stuff. This is some good chunk. And that deco. I hadn't brought it up yet, but reportedly most of the decos on this line weren't done by the usual Transformers team. Apparently several people who worked on Star Wars are responsible for a lot of these. And you know what? I see it. Yeah, King Atlas is clearly inspired by Die Atlas, and Star Wars isn't exactly known for gaudy colors, but look at the vehicle mode. Dirty white with carbon-scoring paint wash, strips of accent paint? Yeah, I see the Star Wars influence. I also think fellow 1992 Machine Wars alum Whirl is a good example. Here, what says Star Wars people did this deco, to me, are the tones used. A lot of Universe toys use kinda washed out, desaturated versions of colors, where Transformers has traditionally gone more vibrant and high contrast. More muted decos, forgiving the Energon Surge splashes that early toys had that was quickly dropped from the line, those just feel right at home in Star Wars toys. Whirl also came with a pair of similarly muted tone minicons to fill out his ultra-class price point, despite the fact that he can't interact with them at all. Also, Whirl has a rare instance of new tooling, restoring his turbine cannon spring-loaded missile launching gimmickry that was taken away from the Machine Wars release. By the way, thanks to the aforementioned lack of published bios, Trent Troop and myself turned him and King Atlas into characters from the Unicron Trilogy series in a Collector's Club story. Warriors from the lost and functionally dead colony world of Combatron. Look, just because Hasbro needed toys to fit the play pattern to sell them, doesn't mean we did in order to write about them. Of course, with the increased popularity of Transformers came the increased demand for store exclusives. Their quality varied. Take Oil Slick, for example. He came in a Kmart exclusive 2-pack with Crystal Widow. Okay, this is going to sound slightly insane, but I genuinely miss Kmart. Not just because I hate that we're basically down to only 2 big box retailers anymore, maybe 3 depending on where you live in the US, and lack of competition sucks for all of us. But they actually used to be a major reputable retailer, and I have a lot of good memories of finding toys there, from childhood into adulthood. Okay, back to the toy stuff. And there's certainly evidence that maybe the deco teams are starting to stretch thin here. Oil Slick has the same robot part deco as the original Armada Sideswipe he's redecoed from, he's just got purple car parts now. Granted, they also gave him a new hood chest trigger part with a sculpted Decepticon symbol rather than Sideswipe's Autobot symbol, hooray for that. Crystal Widow is also not dissimilar to the Universe Black Arachnia toy deco-wise. But perhaps more damningly is that Universe used the Sideswipe mold again in another store-exclusive 2-pack, now called Dreadshot, and he's got the same robot color parts as the other two, just now with burgundy, vaguely G1 Dead ND car panels. And a blue visor, I guess. Extra annoying, because you also end up with 3 nigh-identical versions of the included Minicon. Ugh. Walmart got more Universe exclusives than any other big box retailer, with only KB beating them out, and that was only because KB got 4 sets of 6 individually sold Micromaster combiners on top of their deluxes. And if Universe overall was put together kinda quick, then a lot of the Walmart exclusives were put together very quick. Sideburn shows off the kind of choices made that makes one think, yeah, this was knocked out in a hurry. That admittedly cool-looking vinyl wrap deco on the car mode is just painted over what is functionally the Robots in Disguise Super Sideburn toy from 2001. And I mean they painted those car panels twice. The red paint layer from the original is still visible through the clear plastic. The robot mode parts are the same colors, the only noticeable adjacent difference is his handgun is now painted silver instead of chrome silver, even though the engine is still chromed. I don't get it, but I did get this toy, obviously. Back then it was still kind of feasible to get one of everything released in a year on a moderate income. And I was apparently in the minority in buying him, as this and many other Walmart exclusives at that time ended up being massive peg warmers. Oh, and by the way, this toy also represents the shattered glass version of Sideburn. Just tossing that out there. Target probably came out ahead on the exclusive front quality-wise, but that was admittedly because the bulk of their exclusives, released in 2006, ended up being stuff that was produced to be regular retail toys that ended up in limbo when most stores stopped carrying the line in mid-2005. Scavenger here comes from an Ultra 2-pack with Bone Crusher, redecos of 2 of the Robots in Disguise Build Team toys, and yes, the other 2 molds came in another set, also as Constructicons. I mostly wanted to highlight Scavenger because he bucks the trend of the other 3, who have the traditional, mostly bright green with purple accents Constructicon deco. This inverted purple with bright green accents is just gorgeous. I love it when they mix things up like this in ways that still feel thematically appropriate. Also, I just realized this is the second time I've done a pick of only this mold out of a set of the Build Team redecos. Maybe I should remedy that someday. I want to turn back time a little and bring us back around to the 3H era and their Universe exclusive toys, made for the 2003 official Transformers Collectors Convention. Yeah, 3H didn't have the BotCon name for the last 2 years of its run. I'm not going to get into all that now. Any rate, these toys were a big damn deal, particularly Roulette and Shadow Striker, as not only were they rare female characters, but they were the first convention-exclusive toys to have new tooling, giving them new heads rather than just using the Sideburn head. A huge deal. But I did these picks forever ago.
So let's forget about them and follow instead
their fellow convention-exclusive Sunstreaker, who's been needing new picks forever. This toy was also a big deal among fans for different reasons. First, this was the first new Sunstreaker toy since the original in 1984, at a time when new toys of explicitly Generation 1 characters was a rarity. Yeah, I know. 3H had only just recently been allowed to use established characters for exclusives at all. But also, this one caused kind of a tempest in the teacup because it wasn't merely a convention exclusive, it was a hotel exclusive. Yes, you only got Sunstreaker by booking a room at the Hyatt Regency O'Hare at the convention rate. Given that room sharing was and will always be a common practice at conventions, they gave you 1 toy per night booked, capped at 2 toys, so you could at least split them with a roommate. Of course, if you were like a younger me and frequently had,
5 people in a 2-person room.
that was only partially helpful. But regardless, this was, as you can imagine, not a popular decision, and there was never another hotel exclusive toy again. Though it was not the last convention exclusive that sent attendees jumping through unpopular hoops to obtain them. And also, this toy had a real problem with the wrong color flame missiles, as his blue flames were often mixed up with the yellow flame missiles from his brother's Sideswipe. There was a lot of people looking to swap out for the right kind of missiles that weekend. Remember how I'd mentioned that a bunch of Target's exclusives were rescued from cancellation? Sure you do, you're smart and attractive. Well, a lot of toys weren't saved from cancellation. Some would go on to get released in altered forms, some would never get released, but us finding out about them and then never shutting the hell up about wanting them would inspire new versions to actually get released. And then there's those that maybe we don't terribly mind them falling into the dustbin of history too much, like this redeco of the Minicon Jolt. He was supposed to come with a redeco of Deluxe Armada Hotshot as Smokescreen, and mold choices aside, G1 Smokescreen decos were not uncommon already, and would only get extra not uncommon in the years to come, so not too many people mourn this specific loss. Funnily enough, these two were slated to come in a Battle in a Box set with Drench and Windshear, toys that would get picked up and modified to become the BotCon exclusive Shattered Glass Sideswipe and Whisper. Also, I took these pics well over a decade ago at a BotCon, and I have completely forgotten who owned it. If I had any notes on this, they are long gone. I'm really sorry. I have a guess or two who it might have been, but if you're out there and remember this, do let me know so I can properly credit you on the wiki. That's it for this update, but there's a lot more to this line. A lot of weird side trips. The branding managed to stick around till 2008, though by that point it was almost completely just repackages of Energon and Cybertron toys sold at discount chains. There's the aforementioned mass of Micromasters and a batch of Spy Changers, though I've done pics of all of those already. Maybe I'll do a video in the future looking at those groups anyway? But thank you for watching through to the end of this look at a fun, weird, and distinctly colorful side trip in the history of Transformers toys. You're a hero. What's your favorite weird-ass redeco from this era? Let me know in the comments. If you like this acid flashback, please like and subscribe and subscribe and like and subscribe and bell and whatever the hell. You can also help out more direct like by joining my Patreon. Every little bit helps, and the more helps, the more picks I can do a month. Plus, at higher tiers, you get to help pick out the monthly theme. Thank you once again, and come back next month for a summer-adjacent update.